I was asked by a subscriber of mine which sympathizes with Andrew Tate, why do I not talk about the interview regarding Tate's lawyer? And the answer to that is because I'm going to talk about it today. There was an interview and it's in Romanian. Obviously, I would have translated, but copyright issues. It's so refreshing to see how Romanian journalists act. There was a lady which never interrupted the lawyer, asked competent questions. No question like, why is he a misogynist? Why is he a far right? No, just competent questions to the case. And the viewer could make up his mind, which, by the way, I did. So, not only will I go through the important bullet points that happened in the interview, but I will also add a little bit of context to the story. I'll be the fact checker. Now, the first thing that the lawyer brings up is the fact that he still does not have access to the case file. He does not know what evidence the police has. He does not know what the charges are exactly. But for some reason, the press seems to have access to that. So I do agree with his outrage. Legally, in my country, the case file through the period of the investigation is held in secret. Only the investigator should have access to it. And when the case file goes to court, that's when the lawyer gets a copy and the prosecutors have a copy as well. This is not the case here because details are being leaked to the press, and this is why the lawyer is upset, and I do agree with his point of view. The other thing he brings up is that the Tates were initially brought to the police as witnesses, and then they were transformed legally into suspects and then into defendants. Now, this is something that's against the spirit of the law in my country, but it's something that happens quite often. And the reason for this is that the law allows you to not testify against crimes that you are being accused of. So, for example, if I go out and I steal a car and the police considers me a suspect, they cannot interrogate me if I don't want to give them details about the crime that I committed. So they have to do their own investigation. They have to find their own witnesses. They have to gather evidence, but they're not allowed to question me about a crime that I commit if I don't want to talk. It's similar to like the United States, where you have the right to remain silent. However, there is a workaround. There is a loophole that the cops constantly use. They call you in as a witness, and as a witness, you are obliged to comply with the authorities. So they summon you in as a witness, which is what they did to the Tate brothers. They ask you about the car, and after you sign the confession, and then you say exactly what you know has happened, and you give them names or whatever, then they classify you from witness to suspect, and from suspect to defendant. And authorities do this all the freaking time. It's common thing here in Romania. It's to bypass the whole you have the right to be silent, right? So they will summon you at the station. They will say, oh, we just need to clear a few things up. We just need you to sign here and, give a statement. You're just a witness. We just want to know what happened. And after you gave the statement, they classify you as a defendant. So the lawyer is upset about this. He also points out that before the Tates were arrested for 30 days, he only had access to the file for 45 minutes in order to mount a defense. So when he went to the judge, which decided that he's going to stay in jail for 30 days, he barely had enough time to mount a defense. The file has over 100 pages, and he only had 45 minutes to look at it. He talks about the fact that the search at the Tate's house, there were many electronic devices seized. Some of them have been returned, some of them not. And the lawyer finds it unacceptable because he says that within this time period, the police should have already copied all the information from those devices onto their servers so that everything gets to be returned to their client. Regarding the rape charge of a woman of Moldavia ethnicity, the lawyer claims he has not seen the case file yet and does not know what evidence is being used. This is perfectly normal. Again, the public might be shocked, but the investigation still goes on. So until the investigation is over, neither the press nor the lawyer should have access to it. The lawyer is also outraged that the judge has decided the Tate brothers should stay under arrest for 30 days, saying that there is no evidence to suggest that the crime of rape has been committed. However, the reporter, I think this is the only time where she interjected, and rightfully pointed out that this is like in the United States. It's asking to get bail. The lawyer that judges the bail does not know if the person is guilty or not. In fact, the person is innocent until proven guilty. However, judging bail has nothing to do with assessing guilt. It has to do with other factors. So in this case, Tate is a flight risk. He's got multiple citizenships. He's a billionaire. And on top of that, he has a private jet. So this is why he's considered to be a flight risk. Another complaint that the lawyer has is that one of the alleged victims has gone to an extrajudicial psychologist and got a report from there. So basically, one of the ladies that claimed they got raped by Andrew Tate went to a psychologist, a licensed psychologist, an expert, right? And he assessed that she does have the psychology of a person who suffered trauma. And she took that report and took it to the investigators. Now, the lawyers is saying that, okay, but it's an extrajudicial psychologist. So it could have been, from what he knows, it could have been one of her personal friends. It could have been a person she bribed. In other words, the subjectivity of the expert is put in question. This is why the courts have their own judicial experts, right? So you have like judicial psychologists, and the way you access one is you go to the courts and they pull out one at random so that there is absolutely no doubt of the objectivity of the expert, right? However, in this situation, I don't see that as a problem. Like the evidence from this extrajudicial psychologist, obviously by itself, will not stand in court. But I'm pretty sure that the women that are claiming to have been raped by the Tate brothers will then have to go to an actual judicial psychologist, or Andrew Tate can just get his own psychologist, and with the approval of the victim, they can be cross-examined. This is something that's being done all the time, right? So if I, for example, have been beaten by someone, right, and I want to press charges, I don't have the time to do the whole process where I go to the judicial medical expert, right? Because you have to file the paperwork, and then you have to wait for a couple of days, and by that time, maybe my bruises even heal. So what this lady did is like, okay, she went to the closest expert that she knows, and she used that in order to alert the authorities. However, I'm pretty sure that once the trial starts, there's going to be cross-examination, there's going to be other evidence being brought forward. In other words, I'm pretty sure that this lawyer knows about this, but he is trying to change public opinion, which is something that the press is trying to do by constantly having these leaks, right? So he's aware that this is how things work, but like he's trying to change the public opinion and make it look like these women are definitely up to no good. They're nefarious. They have gone to a psychologist that they bribed, or a psychologist that knows them, right? Again, this is not going to stand in court by itself. He has not seen the case file. I mean, he admitted the fact that he had not seen the case file, and yet he makes the claim later on in the interview that he believes that this extrajudicial report is the main reason that the investigators are after the Tate brothers. And it's like, well, if you haven't seen the case file, how can you make that claim? And this is when I started doubting him. Do you see how it works, chat? Do you see how it works? I'm using my mind. At no point did the reporter spoon-fed me this information, but just by listening to the interview, I noticed that he's contradicting himself. And I'm like, okay, well, what is his role in all of this? To defend his client. All right, so with that in mind, looking at how he is contradicting himself, I understand that he's trying to do a little bit of PR. Nothing wrong with that, but I can make my own personal biases without fact checkers. Holy shit. Another concern that he has is that he does not have access to where these women are, and as far as he knows, they may have fled the country. But again, if they have pressed charges, when the trial comes back, they're going to have to return to the country. He knows that. Furthermore, if they can't return to the country, they can still be cross-examined using video conference. You have Skype, you have Discord, you have whatever. Zoom, right? You can use that technology in order to, even if they're not in the country, in order to talk to them at the trial. It's common procedure now, especially after COVID. So, again, it's not his job at this point to cross-examine witnesses during the investigation. I mean, if you are to cross-examine witnesses during the investigation, that can even be interpreted as witness intimidation. I'm pretty sure he knows that, right? So this is why, again, I understand that he's trying to be on television and do some PR. Doesn't fly with me, because I know how the system works. One of the interesting facts that he finds, and I don't find it really that bizarre, but the U.S. Embassy is the one that filed a complaint against the Tate brothers, but also the U.S. Embassy is legally bound to help Tate in his trial due to the fact that he has a U.S. citizenship. And like, for the next 3 minutes of the interview, everyone was bewildered by this. So the embassy is accusing the Tates, but they're also having to defend the Tate. How is this different than if you commit a crime in the U.S. and the government arrests you, but the government also has to provide a lawyer for you? There's no conflict of interest here. I mean, it's like being in Germany and I commit a crime against another Romanian citizen. Now, the other Romanian citizen, let's say he doesn't speak German, he doesn't know what the proper procedure is, so he goes to the Romanian embassy and asks them for help. The Romanian embassy is going to contact the German authorities so that they press charges against me. But once I'm being charged, I'm still a Romanian citizen, so I can still ask the Romanian embassy for help, because it's my right. I don't understand where the conflict of interest lies. Furthermore, it seems that Andrew Tate has asked the U.S. Embassy for help regarding translation, especially legal translation, because apparently in the previous hearing that he participated, he had difficulty understanding what was being said due to the fact that the translator that the court had was very inexperienced, and the Tate brothers were confused. However, the judge said that it's okay, everyone speaks English here, and we're going to do our best so that the Tate brothers understand what they're being charged with, and apparently the lawyer was actually satisfied with how things worked, at least from the language point of view. So I don't see why it's hilarious. Yeah, like the U.S. Embassy not only has to provide Andrew Tate with assistance, not only to translate documents, but if he requires any additional help regarding how the Romanian system works, if he is being persecuted in prison, if he is being persecuted as a U.S. citizen, the embassy is legally bound to help him. The embassy is an institution. It's not one malevolent person. I know people believe in the Matrix and stuff, but still. So, at the end of the video, I would like to point out that today he has left the hospital. A lot of people were concerned that he's going to get Epstein in the hospital. I told them that he's not. People said that I don't know what I'm talking about. People said that I'm crazy, that I do not understand how the Matrix works. He's out of the prison. I guess you can now act like Dr. Frankenstein, being, it's alive. I don't know. Like, dude, if I'm telling you nothing bad will happen to him in the hospital and I make a video, okay, the overwhelming majority of people understood, but there were like still those couple of individuals that I expect an apology from. Of course, I'm not going to get it. They're going to double down, but I don't know what to do. Like, do you want me to tell you things that are not going to happen just for the sake of parroting the same opinions that you guys have? And another one, like this just blew my mind, right? I made the claim that no one has died under police custody in my country as far as I know. And the counter argument, but what about Ceausescu? So the previous dictator, okay, he did not die under police custody. He went to a trial, and then he was found guilty and executed. Now, you can make the argument that the trial was a kangaroo court. You can make whatever argument you want, but he was not arrested by the cops, and before the trial it was like, oopsie, and the death penalty has been removed from Romania. So no, like the Tate brothers are not going to get the well, I don't even know, like, do these people just make these arguments in order to hear themselves speak? Like, just say something that's legit. Jesus, do you think he's going to suffer the Ceausescu fate? I don't know. But anyway, right? Oh, and another one is like, oh, so because I said that Romania is not the US. Like, we don't have people that get Epstein here, right? You don't have a case that puts into question, not even the legal system, but like puts into question, like, how do police deal with people that are in their custody, right? You don't have that. It just doesn't exist. Or if it does, it's so isolated that most people don't even know about, right? And people are like, oh, so just because you said that there's no Epstein case in Romania, then that means that you believe Romania is not corrupt. Man, like, talking to chatbots is more easy than to talk with these people. The chatbot fucking gets it. Like, try talking to the chatbot and you'll see that it understands. Because it's not me at this point, you know? I was being gaslighting, thinking that maybe I don't know how to express myself. But then you talk with the chatbot and you see that the chatbot understands. So clearly, the problem is not my communication. The problem must be some people's hearing. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.